Okay, your last section of the review is your free response questions section. And you'll notice I didn't leave a whole lot of space on here. Part of that, yes, I wanted to just print one paper and not have to print out 150 other extra sheets of paper. But also, what I'm going to start doing is that I'm going to kind of start weaning you away from just relying on me to give you your information. This is a pre-AP class. All right, some of you are starting to realize the hard way that this isn't just a normal, regular class where you can just squeak by with. These free response questions are set up in the same way that the AP exam, when you're going to take an AP course, because if you're in a pre-AP course, you would automatically assume that you're probably preparing to take an AP course, so that's what I'm doing with you. I'm trying to prepare you for the AP course of what you're going to see. Now, in my AP course of AP Human Geography, they have free response questions that are set up exactly the way I'm setting up your free response questions so that you get practice and you can understand the process of what's going on. Now, I'm not going to sit here in this review and tell you the answers for this. I kind of expect you to do that on your own, to go back and look it up and make sure you do it. What I am going to do is I'm going to go over each of the verbs with you so that you understand how you can get your points. All right? Question number 1. Again, these are worth 25% of your test grade. 25 points. The rubric is set up where there's 25 points on each one. Or not each one, but together. They're worth 25 points. So if you just leave number 1 out, that's 15 points that you've lost on your test. All right? So you need to understand that these are important. So don't come up to me and ask, do we have to do these? Yes, you are a pre-AP student that I expect to become an AP student, so you have to do free response questions. Okay, question number 1 says the Human Development Index formula uses education in addition to life expectancy and income indices to determine a country's level of development. Now, we did not use the exact formula for HDI in class, but we looked at a bunch of indicators and we determined how developed a country was, which is basically what we're getting out of the HDI. Your first free response question is dealing with the HDI, which is a concept that you will see in AP Human Geography as well. Letter A, there's 5 possible points. If you define 5 different indices that can help determine the development of a country, then you get 5 points. Okay? What I mean by this is, number 1, you can choose GDP per capita. What you have to do is tell me that GDP per capita is how much money, pretty much an average, but the average amount of income per person within a country in a year. So if a country has a high GDP per capita, they are more developed. So I gave you 1 freebie. The other 4 I want you to come up with on your own. Now, if you use things like high birth rates, you need to explain how that can lead to a more developed or less developed nation. Personally, I would stay away from the population statistics because these more than likely aren't going to tell you level of development unless you can compare that in regards to the population pyramid. Now, these indicators, these can be from that list of things that we looked at www.nationmaster.com, where we looked at all those indicators. Those can come from there, but again, you must define those and tell me how they can lead to a more or less developed nation. Letter B, you are going to label country A figuratively. Okay, we're creating a country and we're calling it country A. In letter B, we are saying that country A is a more developed nation. So you're going to come up with 5 indicators and tell me what direction they are, high or low, and how that leads to that country being developed. For example, if you choose GDP per capita, you need to say country A has a high GDP per capita, which means that people are making a whole lot of money. Okay, you're going to give me 5 of those indicators and tell me up or down which way they need to be for country A to be a more developed nation. You get 5 points there, so that's 10 of your free response points right there. Your other 5 come from letter C. Letter C reads, label country B, which is a figurative country that we are making up. We are saying that country B is a less developed nation. So you're telling me what 5 indicators and which direction do they need to go to determine that country B is a less developed nation. That's what we're getting at in question number 1. Again, I expect you to go up and go outside of this class and look these up and determine how that determines less or more developed. That is your first free response question. Again, I want you to answer them. A, answer all of A. B, answer all of B. C, answer all of C. That's the way that I want you to answer these questions. And on letter A, it may help to have 5 bullet points so that you know you need to define 5 different indicators. All right, there's 15 of your points. Question 2 says, economic systems and government systems are 2 totally different things. Economic systems focus on how a country uses its money. Letter A, define all 3 economic systems. Define all 3 economic systems. Command, socialist, free enterprise. Define all 3 of those for 3 points. Letter B, you're going to get 1 point if you can draw the economic spectrum correctly. If you do that and you put the correct economic system in its correct position, because there is a correct position for those 3, then you'll get your point for that question. Letter C is worth 6 points. This one's big. You're labeling 6 countries correctly on the economic spectrum. Now, I gave you more than 6 in our examples of your notes, but you can go and look up some more outside of this if you would like, but you're going to label those 6 on the economic spectrum. So for this question, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at letter A, and if you have all 3 economic systems defined, you're going to get 3 points. I'm going to look for a B, and you can put B and C together because you're drawing the economic spectrum, that's fine, but make sure you have an A and a B. A B and a C, you're going to put the economic spectrum out. You're going to label it correctly with socialism, capitalism, or socialism, free enterprise, and command economy. You're going to label those on the economic spectrum. And then I'm going to look for section C, which is where you're labeling 6 different countries correctly in their position on the economic spectrum. If you do that, you get 10 points. If you do all of that in the first free response, you get 15 points, which leads to 25 points for your free response question. If you study this and you understand your free response questions and you study the short answer and your vocab section, I promise you will do very well on this test. I had a lot of really high A's and I had several 100s on the last test, so it can be done. I promise you, if you study, it will show on the exam and you won't have to worry about your grade towards the latter half of the 6 weeks. Let's start this next 6 weeks off on a great note with a really high test grade.